Hello, and welcome to today's episode. If you've already heard the introduction before, then just skip ahead about 5 minutes. Otherwise, the Bible is referred to as the living Word of God. It isn't a book that is meant simply to be read. It is a perspective-altering substance that is meant to be ingested and absorbed into you. And when it becomes a part of you, it changes you. And that is exactly what it is meant to do. A psalm is a spiritual song based on real-life experiences that reveal a profound foundational insight that is then expressed in the form of music, which is usually played on a harp. This is my own paraphrase of the Psalms. Now, there is an important difference between a paraphrase and a translation, and it is important to understand what that difference is. A translation takes a text word by word, and it finds the most accurate word in another language to convey the meaning of that original word. But sometimes getting the details right can come at the expense of the big picture. For example, the literal translation for a butt dial and the literal translation for a booty call could end up being exactly the same if they were both translated very literally into another language. But we all know that those are two very different ideas. A paraphrase, on the other hand, is attempting to capture the spirit of the idea that is being expressed. But both approaches come with their own disadvantages. Sometimes the most literal translation for each word, while technically still accurate, also loses something in its translation. For example, if you were to translate the phrase, "cat got your tongue," into another language, it would probably make no sense to them. Why would a cat grab your tongue? What are you even talking about? In order to convey the original idea, you would have to find out which saying is used in that other language to express the same concept. But it might not involve a cat, or even any animal at all. So the literal translation would not be a very accurate one. But in a case like the one that I just described, the idea is more important than sticking to a very literal translation that ends up losing all of its intended meaning. However, because paraphrases are an individual's interpretation of the underlying idea instead of a rigorous academic translation of the word, they are not as objectively accurate as a translation is. A paraphrase is a lot more subjective, and that makes it much more susceptible to interpretations that are way off the mark of the original text's intent. The focus of a translation is on detailed accuracy, and sometimes the broader picture is not conveyed very clearly as a result. The focus of a paraphrase is on painting that big picture, but it often loses the accuracy of the finer details. Both are useful as long as you understand which is which, and what the disadvantages to each approach are. And that is why I recommend using both an accurate translation, like the New American Standard, and a responsible paraphrase. For my part, I've done my best to create a hybrid paraphrase that also contains the truest translation that I could create for the Hebrew words that are found in the original text. But everything loses something in translation. Every word is an amalgamation of several other words. That is basically what a dictionary is. It tells you which words overlap with the word that you are interested in, and that helps you to fully understand its context. When it comes to a language that you are familiar with, all of the implied connections that are associated with a word are inherently carried along for context. They are tethered to its meaning, and we all understand that those connections are part of the picture. But this web of context does not come along for the ride when you are dealing with an unfamiliar language. So in a translation, you often have to choose between picking a word that overlaps more than any other single word would, while sacrificing the rest of the picture, or you end up with an extremely wordy translation that doesn't flow as well as it does in the original language. And Hebrew especially is such an abundantly rich language that to remain true to the beautiful web of context that is contained in the original biblical portrait, you end up with a very wordy English version. That trade-off is clearly not for everyone. But the truth is that there are already so many paraphrases out there for the people who want the maximally filtered, ultra-boiled down, heavily concentrated version of the Bible. And I'm not denying that concise simplicity has its utility. It certainly does. So if that is all that you are looking for right now, then there are already several versions out there to suit your preferred purpose. For the other people who want a deeper dive and a wider perspective to draw from as they try to understand the scriptures fully, some amount of crisp, flowing directness will have to be sacrificed in exchange for the opportunity to view that broader and more complicated web of context. But hopefully, these attempts to contribute an additional tool to the versions of the Holy Scriptures that already exist will only add another dimension to the way that you experience faith. Psalm 109, Part B, verses 21 through 31. But you, Yahweh, the existing of all existence, my most high authority, interact with me and for me in the way that is fully consistent with your nature and legacy. And since your commitment to acting with unwavering love and undeserved mercy is so life-givingly good and fulfilling, snatch me out of the traps that I am in. Bring me into safety and set me free, because I am suffering in terrible agony. I am destitute and reliant, with nothing of worth to support me in the face of all of my unmet longings. And others have penetrated deep inside my heart, running me through with wounds that have left me damaged and diminished. Like a long evening shadow, I am reaching my own end and being forced to fade into darkness. Yet I am only shaken off like an unwanted, disgusting bug. I have shut out food with so much fasting that my knees cannot support me. They are wobbling and collapsing under me. My body has wasted away and is shutting down without any fat to nourish it. On top of that, I have been turned into a humiliating insult that others use to mock. When they even notice me or see me, it is only to shake their head condescendingly in contempt. Protect me, surround me, and brace me up with your supporting strength, Yahweh, the existing of all existence, my God, my mighty, multifaceted Creator. Be with me and save me, both because of and through your commitment to act with unwavering love and undeserved mercy. Do this so that they will be able to perceive that it came from your hand and that you, the Most High Yahweh, have deliberately created this outcome. They may continue to make frivolous curses and to belittle, but you make blessings and well-being. They have only set themselves up for disappointments, because when they get up and are no longer in their low state, they will be so humiliated that it will be disorienting. But the follower who belongs to you and works hard for you will radiate celebrations of their meaningful joy. So let my accusatory attackers, Satan's, cover up their own nakedness with even more disgraceful humiliation, and let that disorienting shame be wrapped around them like a suffocating robe that they feel obligated to display to the outside world. I will stretch out my hands in acknowledgement as I use my mouth to express all of these surplus gratitude that I feel to Yahweh. And out of the midst of massive numbers of people, I will boast extravagantly about him, because he enduringly stands firm beside the guiding hand of the destitute and reliant person, to defend and save him from those who prosecute and condemn his existence down to his core spark of life, nourishing it instead and causing him to emerge vindicated and victorious. I pray that whatever voice God might choose to give me in this world, he would also give me the words that I should use it for. These words have meaning for me, and if they had some meaning for you as well, then I am truly grateful that we have both been given a gift from above and from each other. Have a good day out there, my friends.